Yo, Vibe.
Yo, what up, bad manner? How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing okay.
Nice. How's your StarCrafting going?
It's going pretty good. I've taken a little break from Protoss. I got a little bored. Um, and I spent a little time doing Terran, and I got my fix of that. So now I want to work on my Zerg. Um, and That's not going so well, Vibe, at all.
What league are you in right now with your Zerg?
Um, so here's the thing. That's actually a tricky question to answer
Okay.
because when I did my placements for Zerg, it's been so long since I played it that it seeded my placements against my Protoss MMR.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally got like three like 4.9, 4.8K players
Yeah.
in my placement matches, and it put me in Diamond 1. I of course lost all of them, but it put me in Diamond 1, which is not right. My guess would be about 33 to 3,400
Okay.
is when I
Uh,
start feeling pain and can't really get past that.
okay. What kind of a build have you been doing? Or what kind of builds do you like doing with Zerg?
So before Diamond, I did the Bronze to GM openers for everything. Um, and I felt less confused when I was doing those because I guess it was just there was a very clear-cut plan and checkpoints and timing attacks I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
since you're doing these like really early timing attacks, that's your cue to drone. So I found that to be maybe more straightforward. So I was having some success with that before Diamond. But then after Diamond and before that, trying to do the Bronze GM kind of started to wear down a little bit. I switched to an opener I found off of SE2 Swarm, which is like a 3-hatch opener. And it's kind of like a Zerg versus everything type of opener, and this is the time you get, your Bane nest versus Zerg, and this is the time you get your Bane nest versus everybody else, and pull off gas at 100,
Yeah.
but no particular like race specific
Okay.
type of stuff. I did look up the Q Lash type openers and play around with those a bit for Zerg versus Terran, but I'm not sure if I should be using those or if
You
that
you
really
can
is the
go
problem or any different.
you can go Zerglings. The only thing about Zergling builds though is you need to know how to be active and you need to know how to scout with Zergling builds. Because you can't do Ling Bane like every single game. It doesn't always work like that. Let me give you an example. If you're playing against Terran and Terran goes bio, go like maybe Hellion opener into bio or some shit like that, you can go Ling Bane and it's going to be totally fine. But if you play against a Terran let's say he goes for a Hellion opener and then he goes into like battle mech and he starts going Hellion Cyclone and you're going Ling Bane, you're going to probably have a bad day. Like you're probably going to be like, okay, this feels way harder. Unless your Terran opponent doesn't understand how to, use that shit properly and lets you just surround him and kill him, which is like best case scenario. Obviously, you're like, oh wow, he let me surround and kill all of his units. If he doesn't allow that to happen and he's smarter and he like kills creep and shit, Ling Bane versus Cyclones is like not ideal. Same thing for Protoss. Ling Bane against Protoss as an opener is, I'm not gonna lie, super weak unless you're aggressive. Ling Roaches.
Yeah, right. I play Roaches versus
Okay.
Protoss usually. Yeah.
Okay.
And then sometimes I think Pro versus Protoss I have the least amount of confusion of what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do and why. I guess because that's the race that I main.
Okay.
But there's plenty of examples of me being an idiot versus Protoss. Like literally all my Zerg needs like so much work right now. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
No, you're all good.
Um,
Do you have a matchup specifically you want to focus on today?
yeah, I think probably the best idea would be to focus on Terran
Okay. Yeah.
because that's what like makes me want to flip over my desk the most.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Is
Terran's hard as
them.
fuck to deal with. I'm not gonna lie, especially on this new map pool.
Yeah, I try to scout, and sometimes I send my second overlord in to look at what their opener is, and sometimes I don't, and sometimes I'm, like, oh, okay, it looks like they're opening 2-1-1. Well, I guess I should get like a bunch of lings and queens, and I still die. Like I still don't know what the heck I'm doing. So
Yeah. Do you have a replay you want to look at, or do you want to kind of just theory craft it and talk about it?
I have several replays.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Let's fucking do it,
Yeah.
dude.
Should I join a channel? What should I do?
No, so just send it to me on Discord, and then I'll watch it, and I'll share my screen with you on Discord, so that way you can, so you don't even have to log into StarCraft at all.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah, that way you can just see my perspective, and like you'll be able to see what I'm talking about with what I see.
Yep.
But yeah, Terran definitely has multiple ways you could definitely play against them because they have so many different variants of playstyle.
So, what I feel is happening. This is what like I think happens most of my games, and we're going to talk about lots of stuff that has nothing to do with what I think is the problem. But what I find myself feeling is I'm defending myself in the mid game, and a lot of the time, early mid game, it's not going well. I take a bunch of damage. I'm trying to get to ideal drone count. I'm trying to get to a good army size, and then I feel like I'm just headbutting and wasting my gas and withering away trying to attack the Terran. Like there's a certain point in the game where he's not attacking me anymore. He's trying to like get like a massive economy going. I don't know what to do, like what I should be doing.
Yeah. So
aggressive wise and office wise, and I feel like I just kind of bleed myself out. If that makes sense.
No, it does. It definitely does. So you just keep in mind when you attack a Terran player, you don't have to do it with your entire army. You can do it with little bits. You can do it with. You can literally even attack a Terran with 2 supply. And do lots of damage. And what that would be is an Overlord drop with Banelings in it, because one full Overlord of Banelings is literally 2 supply, and you could theoretically kill an entire mineral line with that. So we'll see what your playstyle looks like, but cost efficient counterattacking is definitely the name of the game against Terran, not YOLO all-ins on their base, because if they're not even attacking you and they're, because like straight up just base trading a Terran before you even have something like mutas is almost always going to go really poorly for you. And then base trading a Terran, even if you do have mutas, is still kind of a dicey gamble. Like it's actually fucked to base trade Terrans a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because they're the way they build their base, they just have so many like nooks and crannies they can keep stuffing Marines into, and just withering, like the new tanks spawn and shit. And you have to keep blowing up like multiple waves of depot walls. It just becomes a real pain in the ass to like make sure your army doesn't die while you're attacking their base.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see how your playstyle looks, but efficiency definitely is important against Terran, for sure.
Okay, cool. So what I do try to do usually versus bio is Lingbane Hydra.
Okay, that works. That's totally fine.
And I'm not sure how to play Roach style against Mech or Terran at all. And the same story that I complained about, where I just bleed myself out, headbutting myself against them until they just walk across the map with all their army.
One of the best units you can make against Mech is a Swarm Host. No matter what league you're in, if you're Diamond Plus, like Diamond Masters or GM, Swarm Hosts are so fucking good against Mech specifically. The only version of Mech that it's bad against is like straight up air Mech. If it's like full on nothing but BCs, then Swarm Host maybe not the best play there. And if it's Hellion Cyclone based, like lots of Hellion Cyclone, again, Swarm Host probably not the best play there. Instead, you'd want to have a lot of Roaches versus Battle Mech, and you could go for a little bit of Roaches to deal with a little bit of Hellion, and a lot like Corruptors to deal with BCs if it's like the BC version. But otherwise, if it's like tanks and Thors and fucking shit like that, mixtures of units on the ground, Swarm Hosts are so good against Mech. Okay. So you're getting a natural. I'm not gonna harp on you too much, but you did larva cap a little bit at the start of the game too. I did see that.
I knew you were gonna be. I know you were gonna be looking at.
It's relevant.
It's I'm surprised you're giving. I'm surprised you're giving me a pass on that. Like, don't you?
I'm not like you understand. I'm sure. So, and also double gassing right now. If you're double gassing this right now, this is not good. I don't know if that because you're rallying. Okay, you're not.
No, that was just an accident.
Yeah, you just rallied to both gas. I was like, okay, hopefully, hope to God the build is not double gas before a pool.
I don't try weird stuff because I don't know how.
Yeah, that would be like an all-in with Ravagers. That's like the only way that would make sense.
Okay.
All right.
I actually played this guy twice and I beat him the second time, but I wanted to show. I thought it was pointless to show you the win. So
it's like wins or losses. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. Like I think you probably could see more what you can improve on it from a loss, but there's still so much that you can improve on from a win or a loss. because decision making. This is why I'm not. This is also why I'm not watching this with like the nameplates on or with your build grid on to see what he's building either, because I'm watching it from like your perspective, and the decisions you make should make sense. So I'm using the tools that you give me here to give you information.
So my initial scouting as Terran is always very weak and bad too, because I'm just terrified of it getting shot.
No, it's okay.
It almost feels like every single map you can't. It's so hard to keep this thing alive.
Yeah, you've already scouted more than you like. This is all you need to scout with your first overlord right now. You just need to confirm: is there a natural, and how early was it? Was it CC first, or is it like a standard CC after Iraq's? And then the second thing you need to confirm is what does his barracks look like? Is this thing going to be early? Is it going to be late? I'm not gonna lie, this barracks is fucking late. So,
he went CC first, and I had no clue.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that.
Just keep this in mind. If a Terran player goes barracks first, the Reaper should be spawning out of the barracks right now, like just after 2 minutes. He should have a Reaper like marching to your base like right around 2 minutes, and it should be like you should see the Reaper right now like jumping down the cliff and going to your base. So if that's not happening and the barracks is still under construction, it definitely means CC first, like we just said. And that changes things. Like, if I were to ask you a question, and that would be the question would be, what is your standard build? What is like your standard thing of operations here for the next like minute? What are you gonna do? What's your goal here in your build?
So what I do is I drone up to 20, and then the 20th drone I rally to my third to hide it for later for my to take my third, and then I take an overlord on 20, and I send my I send the first overlord I created, the second overlord that was hanging around my front of my natural. I start sending it to their jet airspace to scout,
okay,
if I remember, and then I pull off gas and I get link speed.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And then I take a 30. I like to take a 30 hatch, and then
Yo, very much. Thank you very much, man.
Third queen, and then overlord.
Yeah. So
and then what I try to do is I try to drone until like around 35 drones.
Yeah.
And then get like some safety links, but I get derailed so easily, Vibe, by just the slightest like whisper, like somebody could breathe at me, and I would like.
No, for sure. No, I totally get it. Yeah, I understand. Like Zerg as well is the race that gets harassed the most because you don't have a wall and you have no like quick access to like a stalker that can just like get rid of shit. Like you have slow fucking shitlings early on, and your queen is also slow, and people just run around you, and you have to always like be in the right spot at the right time to block it and not chase it, because if you're chasing it, you're just losing drones.
And one thing I wanted to ask is. I'm really interested to know what the best way is for when I'm spawning queens and grouping them, how to go about doing that. What I've been doing is I've been basically injecting with the first queen in the main, getting a tumor with the queen in the natural, starting a new queen. That queen that spawned in the natural is on creep tumor duty. The second one that spawns injects, and then I add it to the queen group, and then I start a new queen, and I start pulling. Every time a queen pops, I inject and I add it to my, and then I add that queen to my defense group until I think I have enough queens, like until I have like 5 or 6 defense queens, and then I stop making queens and leave them on the hatches to keep injecting. I'm not sure if that's correct or not.
I would say so. I'm gonna come back to the thing that I was telling you about a second ago with the opener, with your whole base, but. With queens, I would say your first queen in the main base that you make should be injecting. Never stop injecting the entire game. You should never pull it off the hatchery. You should leave your first queen in the main for here forever. And the reason why is because if you were playing against like Protoss and you wanted to like make another queen to replace it and have this queen inject once and come down to the natural, that's okay for fighting things like adepts early on, because you can like shove away the adept with 2 queens or some shit like that really early, and that kind of makes sense. And your lings could like chase a shade from the adept or something. But against Terrans can just jump up the cliff if they want to, and if you pull your queen off, your mineral line's exposed. And you do not want either mineral line exposed, so you want this queen to forever stay in the main, and it's always going to protect the main from the Reaper and just inject the base. Natural queen goes creep tumor first, and then inject after, and then go to the third. And then by then, also, you'll have a third queen. And then you can just make queens constantly out of your third and your natural, third natural, third natural. Keep making queens out of these two bases as you can when you have them. And then never make queens out of your main, because your main can just be freed up to make a layer. Or like, and I would say if you really wanted to, if you're like the kind of guy that's like, well, I like making a layer on the natural, that's fine. You can be weird and make queens out of your main then and make your layer out of your natural. Whatever floats your boat. But the way I do it is I just leave the main. I make one queen out of it, and then I just let it stay open for tech. And then I just constantly make queens out of my natural, my third, up until the point when I have like 9 queens. I have about 6 roamers, and I have 3 injectors. And the way I do it is I'll usually I'll inject, and then I'll add it to the roam group, make a new queen. Inject, add it to the roam group, make a new queen. And if I am under threat of attack, I will use the roam group to defend myself. And then I might miss like 2 seconds or like 5 seconds of an inject, and then inject it again, because I'm dealing with Hellions that are being aggressive or some shit. But if the Terran's really passive, and he's not really poking me, I will use a roamer to come back to the hatchery, and I will inject it before the inject pops off, so that I don't miss a second at all. It depends.
Okay.
It depends how aggressive the Terran is. Because some Terrans are fucking YOLO, and they're like, oh, attack! Because they'll try to kill your queens and shit. If they're
I've done that, and I've gotten supply blocked too in the middle of doing that, and so I've had to like send the roaming group to make sure I don't miss an inject.
Yeah,
a couple times. Yeah,
and you can just do it with like a queen too. You don't have to send all your whole group there. Just send like one of the queens out there to go do it, and then you can have the rest of your roamer group defending your creep and shit. So that's what I do with queens. And then I would say I go up to like 9 queens usually, and so I have like I said, 3 queens injecting 3 hatcheries, and then 6 queens doing creep and roaming. And then as I take more hatcheries, I take off the roamer group and make them injectors. So eventually I'll get to a point where I have like 6 queens injecting and only 3 queens roaming.
Got it.
Yep. And then if you get really crazy with it, you could like get all the way to a point where you have like 8 queens injecting and 1 queen roaming. That just fixes creep like late game.
Awesome. Okay.
But so that's what I do with queens. And then when it comes to build, okay, I know you said you didn't know this is CC first, but just for future reference, hopefully what I just explained helps you understand that.
Yeah. Now I am aware that the CC when my overlord gets there should not be that far. Yeah. So I just didn't notice that. It just didn't click in my brain.
Also, you should look at the barracks too. The barracks is an important detail too, because another thing to keep in mind too is like you said, the CC should be like a third of the way done right now, not finishing. And then also this barracks should have been done for the last like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it should have been done at like 138 or 142 or something.
Literally, yeah. And if the fact that he doesn't have it done yet, if there wasn't a CC here either, and this barracks still wasn't done either, I would assume for you, I'd be like, you might be getting proxy racks right now. Just so you know. Like, I'd be like, there might be like literally 2 fucking racks over here, and this is like a 3rd racks right now. And he's like quote unquote trying to conceal it, but if you just know how to pay attention to timers, it's not concealed, and you understand that this is fucking late.
Should my second overlord path through my 3rd area on the way to his dead space? Would that be?
I don't think so. Because if you do that, it's going to be like the timing it will scout at will be very late. If you scout, the way you did your second overlord is actually perfect this game. You left it at your natural till your natural's about done, and then you sent it out. That way you're not going to get bunker cheesed, which is really good to know that, so you can pull drones appropriately and not be like, oh fuck, there's a finished bunker here, and now I want to pull my drones, and then you're just dead. Because
ironically, the one thing I'm not losing to right now, I lose to everything else.
No, that's good. That's your second overlord is definitely really good for that. So the way you did this overlord is really, really, really good. Don't stop doing that like that, because now if it crosses the map and it goes behind the main over here, it'll get here around like 3:40, 3:30, 4 minutes, depending on what map it is, because some maps have like a different layout where they're not like the back behind the main part is further out. But as long as you're at like ready to scout into the main starting at 4 minutes, that's fucking good. And but if you detoured it like going up this way up to here and then went down, you would be getting to the back of the main base by probably like 4:30, which is going to be a fucking delayed scout at that point, and you're not going to know, is this guy taking a 3rd base? Is he going for a quick 1-1-1? Is he going for like a 2-1-1? Like, what the fuck is this guy's build? What is he doing? What am I about to deal with? Yeah, stuff. It would just be like, is there banshees with cloak that are going to hit my base before my spores are done now? Things like that could be a problem. And now back to the opener. As the final thing I was going to say was, you can definitely alter your build. You should alter your build. If you can get a glimpse of what the Terran is doing, that's why moving this overlord is so fucking important. The second the game starts, the first overlord, because if you can see if Terran does not have a Reaper, if Terran does not have access to a Reaper, You don't need to make these lings early on like you did. And then if Terran is also going for a command center first like this, you don't need to make Zergling speed either. You could do something like, for instance, make drones only, not supply block by making Overlord, get a drone to your third base, make your third, take drones off of the gas before even getting to 100. Like, take drones off the gas now at like 76 and put them on the fucking natural and mine minerals with it. Delaying your Zergling speed has no negative effect here. Increasing your mineral income has every positive effect because this guy has 0 ways to attack you. He's being greedy, be greedy yourself.
In a normal opening versus Terran, do I need to be worried about getting ling speed that fast anyway?
Yes.
Like, what if I pulled off at 60 and got my ling speed after I finished putting down my third hatch, getting the second queen, getting my Overlord there, and then, right after that, ling speed, or
The
like
two
before,
builds,
or during that time.
There's two builds that are bad that for you to deal with then if you play like that. The reason why it's a mandatory thing to get link speed early on is because if you don't get link speed early on, 2 builds will just kill you outright. And that's like Reaper all in. Like if the guy goes like 3 racks Reaper and just pokes you with Reapers nonstop, the odds of you dying to that now are going to be really high because your link speed is going to be super delayed.
You know what? That actually happens to me a lot. And I haven't managed to die to the Reapers yet, but that happens to me enough that I don't want my speed delayed, I guess.
And, well, another one is proxy racks. If you don't ever get link speed for a super long time and you're getting proxy racks and you have no way to counter pressure the Marines and the guy is just making like... Now, if you make like a spine and he like pulls SCVs and runs into a spine and queens and slowlings and he just dies, that's fine. But if he's the kind of guy that constantly is poking you and backing up, 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 and he's preventing you from like taking control of your natural, he could theoretically break you if you don't have link speed for a super long time. So like getting link speed early against builds like proxy racks or multi-racks Reaper builds, link speed super, super, super good against builds like that to follow up. And once that kicks in, you just shut it down and it's fucking over. But yeah, like against other builds that are like standard, having the best way I can explain this is link speed is mandatory versus the early cheesy bullshit to keep you alive. But the drone, like the extra minerals of drones for like an extra 15 seconds for 2 of your drones is not mandatory to play a macro game. So like the game is still very winnable if you still mine gas and he is going CC first. It's just that now that you see that he's doing this, definitely if you want to give yourself a better advantage, pull off now, because now you don't need link speed and now you can create an advantage going forward. More so with minerals.
Okay, so if I see him being, if I see the barracks is delayed and he has an early CC, I can be greedy, basically.
Yeah.
I can be greedier.
Like,
okay.
And you can turn this into greed and you can turn this into a little bit more of an advantage than it could be. But if you just play greedy by default and now suddenly you're dealing with a fucking all-in cheesy build and now you have no access to link speed, the odds of you dying are now really high. So one of these ways, if you always do one of the ways, which is it should be pulling off gas as a reaction, not pulling off gas as a premeditated thought. One of the ways of if you did it as a premeditated thought where you're like, every game I'll pull off gas at 60 before I even know what he's doing, your odds of dying to builds that are high. But the other way here, like we're talking about now, the odds of you dying are low. Like you don't have any real odds of dying and you can go do a mid game and you're fine. Okay. So that's why I said it's a good reaction, not a good like you just do it every time. Yeah. And then yeah, like another way to read it too is even if it's not CC first, if it's barracks first, and then it's a CC normally after. If a Marine is shooting your Overlord right now, or like sub 2 minutes, or right after 2 minutes, if a Marine is shooting this Overlord, it means he didn't go Reaper, and you don't need Lings, and you don't need link speed really fast. Because if you get to a hiding spot, if you can, like anywhere you find one, you're like, oh, go there, fucking hide right there. And let's say the Overlord dies, that sucks, but if it doesn't die and you actually save it, that's wonderful. You don't need Lings right away. You can delay, you can pull off gas, delay link speed a little bit because it means that this guy went for a he's going for like faster gas or something like that. Getting any type of a scout on his natural would be nice if you can. I would say it still is relevant to like see if he does have a natural or not, because if he doesn't, he's going like 5 racks fucking 1 base or some shit. He's just making mass Marines. You'd want to know that, right? You don't want to just never scout that he does or does not have a natural. But the point I'm trying to make is you don't really have any threat of getting super fast fucking Zergling speed if it's like a Marine first to try and deny scouting. Because most of the time what that follows up into is like fast tech. like fast factory, fast starport, shit like that. And Ling speed doesn't do shit for you there, nor does Lings early on. You're still gonna get it eventually. You just don't need it for like a Reaper timing. So
That makes a lot of sense. I'll try to be. I'm gonna write that down. I'll try to be.
Yeah, like opener is very important for Zerg. Like the fact that you're hiding a drone right now is also irrelevant. You're just wasting mining time on this guy because there's no Reaper that's going to deny this. All this shit you're dealing with right now, you're doing, is like versus a Reaper, and there's no Reaper.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I let it sit there for like forever.
Yeah, and now that bunker right there, that bunker tells me this is probably a Marine in the barracks, and there's probably a factory that's going to go up really fast behind this.
Yeah.
Anytime anyone ever takes a bunker like that against Zerg, there are two things you can do. You can either drone up really hard against it and just, you know, prepare for tech and have a good economy, make queens, whatever, or you could literally make like 30 Zerglings as speed's done and run across the map and break the bunker and then kill the guys natural, and then proceed to drone behind that after you did a ton of damage. Because like if the guy puts a forward bunker like this out in the middle of fucking nowhere and you surround it and kill it right away, the odds of you breaking his natural are very high. You don't have to do that. You can do that though. It's all you totally can do that. And the fact that you went for link speed as a priority, you should be doing that if you prioritize link speed. Because like you're prioritizing link speed before even taking a third base. So like the drone priority would be delay gas, spending, delay lings, take a third, drone up, have crazy fucking economy.
Yeah, I did wonder about my, you know, getting link speed so fast. I wondered if it was slowing down my third or not.
Oh, it definitely is. Also, like your creep tumor is so defensive right there. Definitely would want to put that shit out on the edge of creep because there's no Reaper that's going to deny that.
Yeah.
Even if there was a Reaper, that's still too defensive. You'd want to put the creep tumor like there, like to where there's like still some room you can deal with the queen in front of it. Like you could put the queen like there. If the creep tumor is back there, it's still really hard for a Reaper to like run through that and kill it, especially if lings are here too. If there was a Reaper, that is way too far back because that's going to spread your creep like 1 pixel. And now it's fully spread.
I usually put it. I wouldn't say I put it forward at the very edge, but I usually am a little bit more aggressive. I might have been traumatized from a previous game.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm just throwing it out there, just making sure that's not your standard.
Yeah, I don't know what.
I know you're not.
I am aware of like when my overlord is getting shot by a marine that early. I am like aware that he went marine first, but I did not like make the connection to, you know, pull off gas earlier, delay speed, get more economy.
Yeah.
Not worry about where my tumor is. But I wrote that down, so now I'll try to remember that.
Oh yeah, because for Zerg there's two kinds of openers. There's openers versus a Reaper, and there's openers versus a skipped Reaper. Because that's the only thing that can attack you this fast for Terran. Like pulling off gas or leaving on gas, both of those can deal with Hellions. Either way, doesn't matter because by the time he has Hellions, you're gonna have like 5 queens, and lings anyways. So like, this is only really a Reaper situation, and yeah, whenever someone skips a Reaper, you can totally skip defense early and just go greedier.
Okay.
Also, you gotta keep in mind too, this guy has no scout. Coming from the Terran's perspective, he didn't scout you once. So if you did want to go for the Ling bust on the bunker, very viable this game. That's a higher level read right there. But knowing that he didn't scout you means that this guy has no reactions that are different from if you do or don't do that. So I would say this guy's build most likely is not the kind of a build where he's going to make like 5 fucking supply depots right now. Where he's going to go like depot, 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 and wall it off. Highly doubt it. So I fully imagine at like 3:30, this bunker is still going to be exposed, which is going to be when your link speed's about done.
Yep.
So if you wanted to make lings, you totally could have done it. And again, the number you'd want to go for there is anywhere between like 24 to 30, like total lings, not like 24 to 30 larvae, which would be like double that, but like overall, like 12 to 15 larvae into lings, and you could totally bust that bunker. And then if he tries to pull SCVs to repair it and shit, you already have a full surround on it. It dies. SCVs die. Marines die. He might even just quit the game. So
I
like
remember
right,
he was weird. He did something like not very standard in the way he opened, and
oh, I can already tell you what he is. He's a
I
bunker.
was
Or go ahead, sorry.
I saw the bunker, and for some reason I wasn't expecting Hellions, and I turned out to be wrong. So
Oh well, he's
yeah,
definitely gonna make Hellions because he's gonna make battle cruisers. I already feel like this guy's gonna go BCs. Anytime anyone goes for a bunker like this, that's because they don't want to control the map at all. Like early on,
yeah.
they want to give themselves a chance to where it's like, well, if I get all in, this bunker's gonna help defend myself, and then he's gonna go in. He might even make a siege tank with it, and he might go into Hellions with it. Like that's totally fine. But I fully imagine that this guy is going to go mech, and he's going to go into some version of mech, and the most common one is BCs as an opener. But this bunker right here shows that he doesn't give a fuck about map control right now at all. And bio is usually what you care about map control with, because you're being more aggressive, more mobile forward, and you're poking the Zerg a lot more. This is not even trying to do that right now.
Okay.
It's a very defensive posture. Also, right here with your queens, never, ever, ever do this. Never send both your queens to your third and leave your natural exposed like that. Always have, like, send one queen to inject it. Like, treat your third base immediately as an injector, not as a cover. Like, the fact that you're covering your third and leaving your natural completely isolated with mass drones, which also then indirectly leaves your main isolated. This is so fucking scary for your middle lines.
Okay, so treat the third queen more as a eject queen for now, and then be more defensive until I have a bigger group.
Yeah, this should be defended at all times, no matter what. This should be defended at all times. The only time this should not be defended is if you have overlords like there, and like there in front of where your creep would go, and then you see all the Hellions are like right there, and you have like, let's say 2 queens here and 2 queens here. You could pull these forward and help reinforce that for 4 queens because all the Hellions are here. And you know that because overlords see it. And then as soon as the Hellions backtrack or they disappear somewhere, split your queens again. Go like some here, some there. Like never, ever, ever leave a middle line isolated and exposed. Always have, if you don't know where he is, always have something to defend it. And if you do know where he is, then you can hard stack that spot. But never leave randomness exposed here. Like I know right now he doesn't have Hellions driving at your base right now, but still is a general rule of thumb. You don't ever, like, even if there was a Reaper, you don't want to just have a Reaper run in and just fucking hit your drones.
Got it. Okay, will do.
Yeah. Also, you want to defend your creep timbers too. So that's another reason why you don't have your queen spread, is so you can actually defend creep as you plant it. The traumatization continues. That's very close to that tree again.
Oh no! Actually, the reason I did that one is I wanted the I wanted to get a little faster creep.
Even if you do that, even if you do that, the creeps spawns around the hatchery like immediately, at least to a decent extent, like right there. Like
Okay.
Like definitely put it. It's very worth your time to put it on the edge of the creep. Like put it there.
Okay, just make sure it's on the very okay.
Yeah, because like and it spreads quickly too. So like
I do consciously remember. Yeah, I do consciously remember why I put that tumor there is because I wanted it. I wanted the creep a little. I wanted to get the jump on the creep on the third a little bit faster, and then spread the other 2 center and right.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm glad you're putting creep to mirror. That makes me super happy. It's just that this is gonna spread at twice the rate now because you have a creep timber and a hatchery here, and you're missing out on like 1, 2, 3, 4 grid spots of creep, which means that now the creep is gonna stop like there, or even like right there, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 further out. So like it's definitely stunting your creep, because what's gonna happen now is your creep is going to stop spreading. You don't ever, basically this is a rule of thumb with creep. This is the difference between good creep and bad creep. You don't ever want to put your creep in a way where it stagnates. You don't want to ever have creep timbers planted in a way where you plant them and then you just don't have active spreading of like creep, 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 creep. You know, like each little grid spot of creep that, because you basically the way creep timbers work is they spawn like 1 grid spot gets a creep spot every like half a second or like every second. You don't ever want it to just stop spreading and then be like, well, now I'm waiting for a tumor. And then as you spread your tumor and as it finishes, now it starts again. You don't ever want that. You want it to be spreading continuously the entire time, which means you're not spreading your tumors far enough out if it does that.
So the creep is, yeah, okay.
Do you see what I mean? That like your creep is still spreading while this tumor is creating. That's good. That's good. Over here, not good. It's finished while it's spreading. And that's a waste. That's now a waste of your creep time. So this one's still going. This one's not. This tumor is doing effectively nothing right now anymore. And it's not like it's going to be doing something the entire game. The point I'm trying to make is if you spread your creep out wide enough and fast enough, you can always have every creep tumor be like this one, where it's still spreading creep as you spread the next one. And then as this one finishes, it's still spreading creep as you make the next one. And then as the next one finishes, the next one's still spreading creep as you have the next one. So you're like double dipping constantly. Two. The goal is you're always having 2 tumors every direction spreading creep the entire time. Because the previous one and the new one you have. Not 2 new ones. Not 2 new ones. Now, obviously, you're going to put a creep tumor with your third base. I know you're going to do that. But you stacked it so hard that it's going to finish creep super fast. And you're going to have no spreading. So it's done now. And you have no spread.
Got it. Okay.
So this is bad. Because now it's again it's short again too. So now it's going to finish faster again. Your 3 grid spots. This is literally 1, 2, 3, 4 grid spots from the side. And it's 1, 2, 3 grid spots from the corner. So like that's now this right here. A creep tumor itself has it's like it's not as big as a hatchery's creep. I can't remember exactly how many it is, but I think it's something like fucking like 8 grid spots, okay? Like if we were to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably 10 actually. Probably like 10 grid spots away from the creep tumor. And then it's like a fucking radius, so it's like a 20 diameter of it, of creep in a circle. You're only getting benefit from half of it because you're spreading, because you can't put a creep tumor like there, for instance, in the middle of fucking nowhere. You have to put it off the previous, so you're only getting half the benefit by default because the back half that you're spreading from is already spread always. Because you're spreading, that's how you're continuing the push forward. So you're getting only half the benefit of what you're supposed to be getting in the first place. And when you spread early like this, where it's like short, you've now isolated like 40% or 50% of what the creep tumor can spread. This is more like probably 40% of is like deleted by default from how effective this tumor can be until you make the next one. And then if you do it again repeatedly like that, you're going to keep stunting your creep with time over and over and over and over and over. And that's fucking rough. That's the difference of why you're going to watch someone be like, wow, they have like creep is up to there by like 9 minutes. Holy fuck, this guy's creep is really fast. And yours at 9 minutes is going to be like there or like there. Because it just keeps stopping.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll try to do my best to
No, it's huge. It's really,
be on top of the
creep is so important for Zerg. It's so important. Let's go back and look at your build a little bit, because we talked about creep. Now let's go back to your build. So you did also, you have, this is like a couple times now you've larva capped, or you've larva capped because supply block. It's hard to give you an idea on how to do that other than just watch your supply more and build more overlords. Yeah. Because I could say build 1 overlord for every time you inject each hatchery, something like that. But I don't really feel like with the level you're at, I don't think you need to know that. I think you just need to pay more attention. And I know it's your off race too, so it's not going to be like second nature to you.
Yeah, I would say up until about 40 supply, I'm making like I'm making an overlord right as the previous one popped. But then right as I get to around 50, 60, I kind of like, that's when things start happening in the game and I get distracted and derailed and forget to do stuff.
Yeah, I would say the best thing I could tell you to do is try to predict what you're going to spend rather than what you need to spend. So like in a game like this, for instance, if like a battle just happened and you lost some drones, obviously you don't need to make an overlord because let's say your supply dipped like by 15 or something like that. You don't need to, first things first, make an overlord. You don't need to do that. You need to replace what died and get yourself back in a position where you actually need an overlord. But in a situation where, let's say, you're looking at your hatcheries and they're halfway injected, they're halfway done, and you're still making queens, you got to look at that and go, okay, I'm about to have a wave of supply. I need to prepare for that. You need to predict supply waves. So every time you have, and you also need to think about it in the sense of what unit you're making. So every single 30 seconds, this is going to be a factor because about 30 seconds, you're going to have an inject popping off, and it's not exactly 36, but it's 36 instead. But around every 30 seconds, you're going to also have queen rotations coming out. So if you think about it in the sense that you're going to have inject plus queen rotations happening, that's 5 supply just in that moment alone when it finishes. Which is because you have 3 larvae popping off, which is 3 supply that you're going to spend. And you have the queen itself popping out. And if you make another one, that's another 2 supply you're going to spend. So that's 5 supply here. That's 5 supply there. That's another 3 supply here if you're not making a queen at the main base. So in total, that's fucking 13 supply all at once that you need to be ready for as an eject finishes on 3 bases. So if you're not 13 supply cushioned already, you're going to block fucking super fast and be like, oh shit. Well, now I can't fucking build anything because I'm blocked and now I'm larva capped and now I'm not generating larva. And you're doing this all while thinking maybe even give yourself a little bit more cushion than that because you're also generating larva while you're injecting at once every 10 seconds per hatchery. So I would say you'd probably want to have like at a moment like this, like when you're in the midst of like getting ready for your next inject round, especially if you're still going to keep making queens, you'd probably want to make a cushion of like 20 supply, like right before the injects pop off and right before the queens pop out. That way you can spend whatever little bits of larvae you get on the way up to it, maybe like 2 or 3, and then suddenly 13 supply all at once. And then now you just spent 15 supply out of that 20, and now you have a 5 supply cushion still to continue forward, which is going to be more like generated larva going forward while you then maybe make a couple more overlords again, getting ready for your next inject to pop off.
Yeah, I guess I've only really been thinking about ahead of time about my overlord count when I like know that I've about to make like a big ass like supply of roaches or something.
Yeah,
but I don't really I don't give enough thought to it as part of like my normal macro cycle, and I guess I don't really tie overlords to anything like other action. I don't tie it to like injects or anything like you said.
Well, it's crazy as fuck with queens because you're making a lot of queens, and the standard for ZvT is to make queens, which is really good. But you're making queens, and those queens alone are fucking going to be, if you make like 9 queens, it's 18 supply that you're just constantly pumping repeatedly out of your hatcheries with queens, which is going to, that's stacking with drones and lings. So it's almost like if you're making roaches or if you're making ling queen, it's almost the same thing. It's not quite as heavy with ling queen. It's a little bit heavier on roaches, but it's still relatively heavy. It's a lot heavier than just lings.
Yeah.
Because also the larva, or sorry, the queens don't even cost a larva, so it's like extra. It's just straight up extra fucking supply that you need to be able to sustain.
Queen's ready to fight, I reckon. Your bugs are attacking.
Build wise, I'm not the biggest fan of your gas timings. So what I would prefer you to do would be when you're double saturated on the mineral lines like you are, this would be the great time to fix your main saturation only. Just put this back to 3 out of 3. Leave these off right now. Saturate your third base. When your third base is fully saturated, then take a couple more gases. That's totally fine. So you're a full mineral line down on where you should be taking gas right now. This is the reason why I don't like this is because this right here, what you're doing, it's the same thing that you did early on with how you got lings. So you got to understand as well that builds don't always mean the same thing every game. Builds line up differently versus other builds. And the way you opened up with the ling speed gas before third base versus a command center first Terran, you are the aggressor. Straight up. Like, it would have made more sense if you were the aggressor. Like we talked about. Now going double gas before third base saturation is again reinforcing that you were going to be the aggressor. This is not economical. Especially versus CC first. This is so anti-economical right now. This is like you're almost going all in here. Because you're if this guy has like a third CC back here, if he were to have that, you were so fucking committed to this. And if he goes for like, let's say, fast tech behind this, let's say he goes for like a starport really fast, your Ling Bane timing is going to be hitting him around the same time. He could easily have like tanks and banshees, or a BC is about to pop out, and that is odds of you killing him with like a Ling Bane all in is low.
This is me just brain dead following the build I found and not giving any thought to like what's going on.
So this build
like in the game, like, I didn't take those gases for any particular reason. I just got them because the Zerg versus everything like beginner build that I'm using. It just says, "Oh, get your gases when you get 41 drones." Or
I want
whatever.
you to know that this is actually a bad beginner build, in my opinion, as well. I don't think this is a good. Whoever made this build, I don't think this is a good beginner build, because this puts pressure on you to do pressure. You have to make this worth value to do aggression. This is shit for economy development. This is bad if you're gonna sit back and chill.
Yeah, this would make more sense if I'm gonna like shove roaches at him, right? Or something.
Yeah,
like
you need to break his like. This makes more sense if you're like, okay, I'm gonna stunt my economy to break yours.
Yeah.
Then that's fine. Then if that's your plan and you actually successfully do that, then that's wonderful. You're like, oh cool, I made roaches, I made banes, whatever the fuck you made. You did something with your gas to justify the fact that you fucked your own economy up. Because what you should be doing is you should just be saturating your third base, getting crazy, taking a fourth base, taking a macro hatch, taking more gases, and having a way stronger, like, just shove into the mid game with your overall supply. Because this is so fucking heavy on the gas. Whoever made this build, if there was a guide, and the person had to be like, all right guys, so I'm not just gonna give you my build order, I'm gonna give you my play style. This person that makes this is probably like the kind of person that would go like this. Yeah, the way I like to play against Terran is I love to attack them at like 5.5 minutes. I love to shove their natural because a lot of Terrans break to that. Or I like going for really, really fast upgrades on double Evo, like really quick. That way I can do a 1-1 timing attack. Like that's the kind of person that this is. Not I like to sit back and macro.
So the way I want to play is I want to get to my ideal power spike as quickly as possible. That's how I prefer to do it. One thing I do like about getting these gases early is because if they happen to be like, you know, converting Hellions into Hellbats and like trying to kill me right now, and I totally didn't notice that because I don't notice anything, now I can like not die.
Queen should be able to hold that. So if you see some, let me give you an idea here, okay? If you see, this is a big detail, just like how we talked about how a Terran player shoves a Marine at your Overlord. That's a detail in the very beginning of the game, where it's like, now you don't need Lings, now you don't need Ling speed. It's because he made a Marine, he's not making a Reaper. It's a subtle fucking like piece of knowledge, something you can look at when someone goes Hellions. The more passive they are with their Hellions, if the Terran player literally avoids all contact with you. If he's like, I will never fucking let a Queen poke a Hellion ever. I'm not losing a single Hellion. But he tries to, he's still poking you, but he never fucking takes a fight, ever. And he just keeps making more Hellions. Make a spine crawler by the time he has 6 Hellions. Just make a fucking spine. Doesn't matter where you make it, you can make it right there. Because if you're worried about a Terran player who does Hellbat timings, if you have Queens and a spine and you just pull your Queens to the spine and stage a fight at the spine and transfuse it a couple times, Queens are smacking the fuck out of the Hellions while they're hitting a spine. Lings can wrap around the back, maybe kill Marines or Marauders or whatever in the back. The odds of you winning that fight are super high. You don't even need Banes there. And a spine crawler, one spine, is so much cheaper than going 8 drones invested into gas at this point in the game.
I would love more than anything to learn how to open properly versus Terran and defend with only Queens and Lings until I have enough drones. I would love to.
Yeah, you honestly could even beat that without a spine if you have good Queen micro. But just make your life easier. If the Terran player, if you just recognize the Terran is not aggressive, he's not like diving in and losing Hellions. Like if he's diving in and losing Hellions, you don't need a fucking spine. He's suiciding Hellions. He's not stacking up for Hellbat timing. But if the Terran player is constantly passive, and he just won't take a fight, but he keeps poking your creep, he could totally go for a Hellbat timing. And you can also confirm that with an Overlord scouting in at 4 minutes, which you're not doing. 4 minute scout with this Overlord is so fucking important. But
I'm very inconsistent with that. I'll try to.
But yeah, like,
that's one.
I just want you to know that tendencies of players are consistent. And someone who's passive, but they're making Hellions and they're poking with Hellions, but they're passive about how they take fights constantly. That's a Hellbat emphasis. That is a tendency of a Hellbat player. So, because again, you're not gonna fucking fuck up all your Hellions before the Hellbat timing and then be like, let's go Hellbats, and they're like all half dead, and the medevac's like trying to heal them as they turn into Hellbats, and then they're just dying as the fight starts to Queens and shit. No one's really gonna do that. People that want to go Hellbats are going to keep their Hellions as healthy as possible to then transition them into Hellbats as the Hellbat timing were to start. And it's also very rare, by the way, if someone goes for Hellbat timing and never attacks you at all with Hellions at all, like, period. That's also very weird. No one's usually going to go Hellbat timing and then leave their Hellions and they're natural the whole time. And again, you should be poking their base either way. You should be poking the base every once in a while with your Ling at their natural, just to see if there's a command center in the wall or what their comp looks like. And you should be having an Overlord go in at 4 minutes to see what their tech looks like and their gas investment. Things
when
like
I
that.
do go in with the Overlord, usually if I make it in there, what I'm looking for is I'm most interested in seeing what their starport is doing.
100%
because
agreed.
Because when I get in there and I manage to see their 1-1-1 setup, and if I see, like, you know, their starport naked producing, I'm like, okay, this guy's gonna make like a Liberator or something.
Yeah.
Or he's gonna make a Medevac, or he's gonna make 2 Liberators, which I don't know why anybody does that, but they do. They make some people they make 2 Liberators, and they're not supposed to do that. That's not a build, but that shows up at my base and kills me.
If someone ever does like 2 Liberator, most of the time no one's gonna put a reactor on their starport right away. That would be like 2 Liberators 1 by 1 out of a non-add-on starport.
Yeah.
Because the only way they're actually gonna be able to do that is if they were to have like a reactor on the barracks, they swap it to a factory, make a new reactor, swap it to the starport. But to be able to afford that with double Liberator and double reactor that fast, with all those gas costs, they would need like double gas really early. And then maybe even a 3rd gas for a little bit, mine enough to afford the libs, and then take off the 3rd gas. That'd be very weird. It would be very inefficient build from Terran. But if they did 1 Liberator at a time out of an add-on list starport, they totally could do that and not have to do something weird. But yeah, like seeing a tech lab or a no tech lab on the starport is very important for sure.
Queen's ready to fight, I reckon.
And then your natural, or sorry, your layer. So your gas, very delayed. Again, like you should be having, like I said before, fixing this as soon as this is fully saturated. Go back up to 3 out of 3 immediately. Don't pull off the mineral line, but 2 new drones fix that, and then you can make new drones for the 3rd. But your 3rd mineral line is extremely delayed, and your layer is starting to become very delayed. This thing should be started, like if you want a good checkpoint of time, this 3rd base should be started by 4:30. And if your if your layer is not started by 4:30, every second that goes by, you're opening yourself up to dying because your baneling speed now is going to be more and more and more and more delayed.
I think I might have been distracted by the Hellions, because that's the time I usually go for. Okay, so I'll write that down. So you go up to full 2 base drone saturation, which is like 35 drones, right?
It's gonna be 30. It's gonna be 33 because it's 16, 16, 1. So 16, 32, and then 33 for this one, and then the drones 34 and 35 would be gas drones.
Got it. Okay. And do you pull off drones and put in the geyser immediately, and then rally to replace those, or do you rally in?
New ones.
So you rally eggs in. Okay.
Yeah, again, your build is a mineral priority, not a gas priority. The only thing you need with your gas is a little bit of baneling support versus standard Terrans. If you were to scout the Terrans going for mech, you could add on gases later on after you figure that out, but that's not going to be until at least 4, maybe even upwards of almost 6 minutes, because your Overlord would see that as you scout in. If this Overlord can't figure out what the fuck he's going for when you scout at 4 minutes, make an Overseer when you hit your layer and have an Overseer scout in and confirm what the hell's going on before 6 minutes. And again, 6 minutes would be like the ultimate end of that threshold to like, what the fuck is going on? If you still don't know what's going on by 6 minutes, you should feel like you've made mistakes and you should die.
Okay, so second scout needs to be going in at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
From the main.
Yep.
And then a follow-up scout
should be
with an Overseer or one of those changelings when my layer finishes.
So keep in mind too, baneling speed is still going to be a priority over the Overseer, but as soon as you can make it, if you still don't know what he's doing, Overseer after baneling speed and go figure out what the fuck he's doing.
Okay.
But baneling speed is still your priority, massively. Because if he's doing a standard build and you don't have baneling speed when he arrives, the odds of you holding that attack are very low.
Queen's ready to fight, I reckon.
See, like right now, what I would do if I were you is I'd have 2 queens sitting here, and I'd have 2 queens sitting here. I would actually have, you actually have 8 queens right now, which is not bad. I would go for 9, but now I would have 3 and 3. So you just spread them. If you don't know where he is, it's half and half. That way, if he decides to go somewhere, you at least have queens to initially guard the creep.
How are my Ovi's placed? I tried to do kind of like a forward ring there, but I'm not sure if I.
This one's good. This one's good. This one is a little bit weird. I would say put it like more in the center. That way you can see this area, so you can't just like drive up and go in there. It's a blind spot for you. So there would be a better spot. And then this Overlord here is totally fine because you can easily see that there's no other way he can come this direction without going there. So this is a great spot for this Overlord. It gives you a lot of time to react to this base and this creep teamer. But like right now,
should I have I should have Overlords in my dead space too a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
definitely you should. So like these Overlords here should be dead space Overlords. They should be like one there, one there.
I could have a much better vision ring probably.
Yeah, and then you could even put like one there and one there eventually later on, and just fill in all the gaps and one there too, just in case this guy goes Medivacs. That way you can always have a tab on like where it's going and where it's hiding. But yeah, definitely Overlords 1 and 2 go to his base. Overlords 3, 4, 5, and then Overlord 6 would go there. Overlord 7 go there. Overlord 8 go there. And then Overlord 9 can go there. 10 go there. 11 go there. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, wherever the fuck you want to put him wherever. You can put one there even. You can put one in the corner there. You can put one there. You can put one there. If you could fill in just the gaps on the side of the map if you wanted to. It's totally fine. But as long as you have the side of your main and the side of your third covered while initially covering your creep, that's great. But then, and also around the time when you get link speed like started, pull these Overlords back that are in the front. You don't need them out anymore. They come back because the odds of them dying now are very high, and they don't serve their purpose anymore because at this point now you can literally just have 3 queen, 3 queen spread guarding your creep as you shove it forward continuously. And if he dives, you can literally just dive with the lings and kill Hellions. But also the point I'm trying to make as well, at this point in the game, the Hellion phase is pretty much over. The only way Hellion phase is going to continue is that if the guy is mech, and you should, again, by now, by 6 minutes, you should fucking know if he's going mech or not. And then at that point, you should already have a roach horn started and going into roaches.
Creep tumors getting all banged up.
And again, you just have no scout, so you don't know anything right now as to what he's doing.
Your bugs are attacking.
So a big thing to do too against Terran would be your 4th base. So this is what I would recommend you to do, okay? 3 bases saturate. You get your gas on your your normal build. Take 3 drones on it. You pull 2 off eventually, whether or not he's going CC first or something defensive or something aggressive with the Reaper. Either way, you're taking your drones off. We kind of talked about that already, so we don't need to go full breakdown of that again. And then you have 16 drones on both mineral lines. You fix this gas. And then you saturate a 3rd base, mineral line wise. And as soon as your 3rd base mineral line is fully saturated, you take 2 more gases and you take 2 more hatcheries. So you're now on 48 drones on minerals because 16 times 3 is 48. Then you take a macro hatch and a 4th base earlier than you did this game. The reason why I say earlier than you did this game is because your 3rd base, your 4th base and your macro hatch are honestly, they should be done already at this point in the game, ideally, especially if you're going for a Ling build.
So fully saturated 3rd, that triggers the gases in my natural, and then I lay down also a 4th hatch and a macro hatch.
Yes, while suspending larva. You're going to be mining on one. Also if you once you're at a point too where you have like 16 drones per mineral line, re-rally all your hatcheries to their own respective mineral lines. It is totally okay if you have more than 16 on a mineral line. It's going to happen, honestly. Because you're going to keep making drones, and this will be like 19 out of 16. This will be 20 out of 16. This will be 21 out of 16. That's totally okay. You can always turn those into gas drones later on. It's totally fine. But don't just let your larva sit there because you have to be OCD perfect. It's actually worth it to oversaturate your drones against Terran specifically, because having like a 4th base and like just going 16, 16, 16, let's take a 4th now, you're just continuously exposing yourself to more damage continuously. And that's fucking scary. You can totally start saturating your 4th base mineral line once all 3 of your bases are all gases and all mineral lines fully saturated with 66 drones in total. But you can do it in a way where it's not perfect 16 and then fill up gas, 16 fill up gas. It can be 20, 21, 22 fill up gas. With the drones off the mineral line then, that's fine. But you have more money because throughout up to that point because you had more drones mining minerals on those bases up to that point. And you're not getting gas so fast. Like, definitely don't trigger your gases because you're fully saturated and now take gases. That's not good against Terran. Because it's versing Terran, you're not doing gas-heavy builds. Ling Bane, generally speaking, or Mass Roaches, generally speaking, is fucking what you really want against Terran. And both of those are very mineral-heavy, very gas-light. Especially when you combine it the fact that you're going queens with it.
Yeah. Okay, so I get up to full mineral saturation in my 3rd. I get my 2nd and 3rd geyser while I'm droning, and I get the macro hatch and the 4th hatch while I'm droning.
Yep.
I mean, while I'm spending a larva or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and then once those are spent, then I can think about getting my 3rd, the gases at my 3rd.
Yeah, your gas is 4, 5, and 6. Yeah.
Oh,
And that's based on how aggressive the Terran being. That's so, like, for instance, if the Terran was doing a 2 base all in, you can't take gases 4, 5, 6. You just fucking slam out mass units on 5 fucking hatcheries with 5 queens. But if the Terran is not doing a 2 base all in and he's going for a 3rd base, he's playing a bit more macro focused. He's gonna, you know, eventually take his 3rd. He's gonna take a 4th base eventually. If he's playing what looks like a defensive standard game, you can absolutely then take all of the rest of your gases, saturate them, and saturate your 4th base as well, and go up to like 85 drones.
Yep. Okay.
But going up to like all your gases except for 1 right now on 3 base economy, and your 4th base has nothing done yet. Your macro hatch is not done yet. If this guy, and you have not scouted shit, if this guy was doing a 2 base all into you right now, the odds of you dying would be very high. And you just now started a layer 2 minutes late. You would 100% die to like a 2 base tank all in.
Yep. Yep.
And you'd have a bunch of resources that you can't spend because you have too much minerals and not enough larvae to spend on Zergling, and right now you're going to start developing way too much fucking gas that you can't spend, because if you were to make 100% Baneling anyways, it would be shit anyways because they don't even have speed.
When does the so I guess the remaining things I would not are not cleared up for me yet is I guess I'm pairing my Baneliness. I would normally pair my Baneliness with layer at 430, right? Is that when I would be putting the Baneliness down?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a layer has a longer build time than a Baneling Nest structure. It's a 57 second upgrade to a 43-second structure. So as long as you build your fucking your Bane Nest within 14 seconds of your layer, you'll still have it in time to make Baneling speed right away. So like the clock should start. You have 14 seconds after you start a layer to make a Baneling Nest. And if you make anything after 14 seconds, it's going to be that many seconds delayed after the layer's done to make Bane speed.
Okay, and should I be dropping my Evos and layer tech right away when the layer finishes?
No.
Or
you should be dropping you should be dropping Evos at like 7 minutes. Seriously. Like you can make, if you're really technical, you can make 1 Evo at 6 to start one upgrade faster than the other. Based on what you want, like Carapace or some shit. But if you want to do a simple build, standard build, your odds are going to be higher to not die if you have more units than more upgrades. So definitely don't be like, I'm going to have 1-1 tied up in the Evo chambers and not have enough Ling Bane and die. Instead, you want to have enough Ling Bane to not die and then have 1-1 following it up later. So I would say
that makes sense. That's how I die horribly to Zerg when I play turn. So
really solid timing for Evos would be 7 minutes, and then just never stop getting upgrades the entire rest of the game. Try your best to like never let those Evos go idle to get 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. But yeah, 7 minute Evos, like the way you're taking Evos right now is honestly more or less okay. You're taking it at 640 this game, and that would actually be not bad if your build was greedier and sped up and was like at a faster pace than it should be. These Evos basically should be starting around the time when your 3 base is fully saturated, is essentially another checkpoint of when they should be happening. And then you're like starting to saturate your 4th base. So like right now at 7 minutes, you should have 3 base fully saturated. You should have an army of Ling Bane. You should have a 4th base and a macro hatch done, and 5 bases being injected. And now you should be able to saturate your 4th in 1 inject cycle.
And I pick my layer tech as I'm starting to saturate my 4th and fighting, you know,
So
basically fighting the rest of the stuff on Ling Bane till then.
You take layer at 430, and that's going to be way before you're fully saturated.
Yeah.
On everything. You're still making drones at that point.
Because it's usually like around 6:30 or so that.
Because you could, I'm telling you right now, you could absolutely
Yeah.
saturate 3 bases way before 7 minutes. That's very viable, very doable. But
Oh yeah, I know I can. What
you're making
happens
Ling
to
Bane
me
is what you have to.
What happens to me is when I do that, and I know it's what I should be doing, but like what happens when I'm doing that is that's when I get like, you know, focused on droning and getting the right drone count, and then like a like, you know, 10 Hellions run in that I didn't know was there because I didn't pay attention to anything else.
Yeah, you have to make Ling Bane. Yeah, you have to like defend yourself, and like you want to have. I would say the proper amounts of lings you want to make would be something like this. Okay, you'd want to make like 4 lings for the Reaper, and if there's no Reaper, you don't have to make lings at all. But like 4 for the Reaper, and then as soon as you're at about like 3 minutes and 15 seconds, like just before ling speed's gonna be done. Okay. This is like, because ling speed on average is going to be done at 330 if you get it right away. It's going to be done more at like 350 if you delay it. But around like 315 to like 320, start making more lings. And you want to make lings up to a point when you have like 16 max, maybe like 12 on the light end, okay? So make like 8 more lings, maybe like 14, or 8 to 12 more lings at this point in time.
8 to 10 more lings at what checkpoint?
At like 315 to 320 on the game clock. The reason why it's at this point is because it's right before your ling speed's going to be done.
Got it.
So it allows you to have ling speed turned on right as your lings are done, and you can defend Hellions if they try to run into your base. Because slow lings don't do shit anyways. Your 4 lings you already have is going to be enough if you runs. If he runs like 2 Hellions in your base, 4 lings plus like 3 queens is going to be more than enough to deal with it, and some drones. But if he waits until he has like 4 Hellions or 6 Hellions, you'll have ling speed done by then. And at that point, you should also be pairing that with like a total of 12 to 16 lings, which you do the math on that. If you have 4 already, do the math on giving you 12 to 16. So that's another 8 to 12 on top of 4. So that would be the second checkpoint of lings. The third checkpoint of lings is when you're in that phase where you're fully saturated on 3 bases, you're taking 2 macro hatches, and you're getting ready to explode your gases. That point should also be paired with another like 16 lings. Just like one quick round of 16 lings. So now if you haven't lost any lings, and let's say you made 16 previously, 4, then 12, now you're making another 16. Now you're going to have like 32. And you should have like 1/4 of that be banelings, and like 3/4 of that be zerglings. So like 8 banelings and then 24 zerglings.
Got it. Okay, so I'm about to I'm droning. I'm about to hit 3 base saturation. I'm getting ready to put down my 4th hatch and my macro hatch. So I'm prioritizing like unspent larva on lings, right? At this point,
Yeah. Yes.
Not additional drones past even the drones that are going to overfill my bases for my gas. Like I'm.
And that's why your gas is super delayed as well, because we're making those lings. We're not even making drones yet. We're like fully saturated 3 bases. Now we're making protective lings again, and you're only spinning off of the. You can take 2 more gases you can start 2 more gases at that point, but again, don't rip off the mineral line. Do it with excess. So like if making 2 gases is going to mean you're going to go down to 14, don't even make them yet. Literally wait till you start having to have excess, and then you can make more. And you don't even have to put 2 on the same base, by the way. You could put like 1 on your 3rd and 1 on your natural, if you wanted to. If you rally each hatchery to its respective base.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a good point. That should make it.
Because that way you're not going to have like 21 here and only like 11 here with 2 gases filled.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So you could do it that way, and then otherwise the only other way to do it is if you have drones just constantly rallying around to the bases to like oversaturate it, where it's like, okay, 3rd drones, come back here, and then we're going to fill up here again later on, which just means you're wasting time with drones that could be mining the mineral line quicker. But yeah, so you're going to make like 16 lings on like 3 fully saturated mineral lines. You start your gases, like 2 more gases when you can, and then at this point you should have a scout that tells you, can I stop making lings after this protective wave, or do I need to reinforce this protective wave more and more and more and more, because he's all letting me.
Yep.
Because 3 gas, 3 base mineral with 5 hatch is going to surpass economically 2-base all in. It will. Like that's, you have a full middle line above him, and you have like comparable gas, and you're going Ling Bane anyway, so it doesn't matter. You don't even need that 4th gas. You're never going to be able to spend that 4th gas. The 3 gas that you already do have is going to be more than enough to not only make Banes, but also get upgrades on Evos. Like you will easily be able to afford that with 3 gas, just making like some Banes and then upgrades. So a 4th gas would just be like, my gas is really high. Should I go Hydras now? Fuck no. You don't have the money for Hydras yet. Do not go Hydras yet. It's not time for Hydras. Hydras is when you have all 6 gas, all base, and you have like your 4th base. That's when it's time to go Hydras. But right now, it's time to go Queen Ling Bane. That's what it's time for now. So, yeah, that scout should be definitely telling you, do I need more lings beyond 32, or can I chill and make a fucking wave of drones for my 4th base, and then just explode on 85 drones with all your army like the rest of the game. And yeah, that's why this is so important to scout, right? You need to figure that out. If he was going mech and not bio, depending on what kind of mech it is, I would say if it's ground-based mech, you could take a 4th gas and go into roaches, because you actually need to like actually make a lot of roaches to not die there and get roach speed as well. But if it's like BCs, you could take 6 gases, go into a Spire and a Roach Warren, and then go into like Corruptor or something like that with roaches. So mech is a little different. You don't just, you're not going to play it as greedy if it's mech, because Ling Bane isn't going to be as effective against mech. So if it's mech, you probably do want to take more gases a little faster, and just go for like 3 base saturation as fast as you can off of the 32 lings while going into a Roach Warren, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
But if it was like a non-mech build, if it was like an all-in bio build, you could literally just slam out Ling Bane on 3 gases the entire time off 5 hatches and just run it over with Ling Bane over time. And then once you've run it over, you could then go back into droning, then fix your gas, then add hydras, and you're good to go. And again, if it's standard, it's 32 lings, go back to droning, make drones, 85, then go back to Ling Bane even further, and then add hydras in.
So when I get to the 80 plus drone stage, and I'm getting like up to like 8 gases, that's when I like start investing in Hive, and I like to go into upgraded lurkers. I don't know why I picked that. I just like them.
That's fine. Lurkers are good. Lurkers are not bad.
I will say that it seems like every time that I fight lurkers as Terran, I die, and every time that I use lurkers against Terran, I die. So I don't know what to do.
Do you like? Are you? What? How? Okay, so are you a Terran player when you play against Zerg? Are you kind of the kind of guy that likes to go for like Widow Mines? Just throwing it out there.
No, I tend to lean on. I tend to go more for biotank.
Okay, you do go tanks. Okay, so just simply put, if you fight Lurker, if you make another factory and make multi-tank, your odds of beating Lurker are way higher. And if your opponent does the same thing, if they make multiple factories and make multiple tanks with bio, they like reinforce how many tanks and how quickly they can make it, their odds of beating Lurker go up again as well. Or if you just have good micro and good concave spreads, your odds of beating Lurker can go up as well.
So if I decide that they're going mech, what do you think is a nice straightforward composition for mech response? I already know that I'm getting roaches.
Hydralisk and Swarmost. I'm not even kidding. Hydra Swarmost. Like, if you go roaches early on, roaches are a transition unit. They're not all game. You don't go roaches the whole fucking game, okay? That's like a unit you make early on, just like Ling Bane initially, where you don't want to die going Ling Bane. Ling Bane's a little different, though, because you do actually go Ling Bane all game against bio. But when it comes to roaches, roaches do not scale very well as the supply grows. They become shittier and shittier and shittier. But they're amazing early on, though, with how cheap they are and how bulky and defensive they are. So roach early on against mech is super great, zoning out all the fucking ground units, especially Hellions, that they can do. And then later on, if you're fighting later stages of mech, I would say, if I were you, I would prefer to be going for something more like Swarmhost is amazing at breaking mech. And then if you're a Hydra user, you can literally just go Hydra Den and support your Swarmhost with Hydras. And then the whole point of that is literally not to let them have expansions. Don't let them just be rich. Like, keep pressuring them as much as you can with Swarmhost. Keep getting creep spread out as far as you can, so your Swarmhost can be very mobile and active. And then just keep shoving Locust down their throat as much as you can. If you don't go Swarmhost, it puts a lot more pressure on you to have good engagements that you need to set up. And that is a lot more dicey to do. Like you can go Roach Ravager, but that can fall apart in seconds. You can go Roach Hydra, that can fall, and like Viper, but that can fall apart in seconds. I don't recommend Broodlords really against mech because Thors are so fucking good against Broodlords. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel frustrated lately after the nerfs because it's just like
yeah, Broods kind of suck.
I just feel like when I try to like a lot of the time when I'm facing mech, I try to go Hydra Lurker, and it feels like their setup is like ideal to counter both of those. Because they have Thors and they have like a bunch of tanks, and it's just it's impossible to do anything.
When I said Lurker's okay against Terran, it's okay against Bio. It's shit against mech. If you're going Lurkers against mech, it sucks. There's so many more tanks with mech, and Thors are also good against Lurker. Like if you have a concave of Thor versus a concave of Lurker, Thors will actually win. It's just when Thors are clumped up and you run them at them, and they're in a big clump where you're cleaving through all the line of Thors and like Hellbats and shit, then Lurkers could win. But if they're coming, if the Thors are already pre-concaved out and they walk into it's like Immortal versus Lurker, same thing. If Immortals walk into a Lurker line where it's like you're cleaving through like 4 Mortals per hit, you're gonna fuck like if all your Lurkers are A-wing, you're gonna fuck up the Immortals pretty heavily. But if each Immortal is fighting one Lurker, 1v1 to a Immortal to a Lurker, and it's a massive concave, Immortals will win now. So, and that's not even just like it's about Thors and Immortals. For like when we're talking about Protoss and Terran. Terran also have tanks and Thors. And when you have tanks mixed in with that as well, Lurkers, not only they lose the advantage to have Siege, because tanks can push Lurkers with Siege, but then if you ever try to like engage the Terran, if he pre-spreads Thors out with tanks, good luck getting a good engagement with Lurkers. It's going to be fucking awful. You're going to be like, wow, Lurkers suck ass.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give a Hydra Stormhost a try. Like 16 Stormhosts?
Yeah. It would be way better than Lurker. Against mech particularly. Against Bio, Lurkers are great. Lurkers can be good against Bio.
That's good for like wearing down all like the static D and bullshit.
Yeah, you just throw out their base constantly and you support it with your Hydras.
Nice. Okay.
And you just keep doing it over and over and over and over. And you really try your best to like not let them expand and then eventually consume the map with creep so they can't expand. And if you can starve them out, then because they're constantly trading against that shit, then you can win. Okay, so I'm gonna throw it out there and say, long story short, we're gonna speed this up now a lot. We're already 20 minutes over an hour, and this is gonna be setting up for like a 2-hour coaching lesson here if we keep going at the pace we are. But long story short, in your early game, your opening macro could have been a lot stronger. You could be so much more powerful in supply than you are right now. I'm not even kidding. At 8 minutes and 15 seconds, nothing has happened up to this point. This is the first actual fight. You could easily have been at like 160 supply right now. And it's because if you took gas way too fast, you took gas priority, you larva blocked a lot, you didn't actually, your macro hatch and your 4th base were super slow, not even saturated, your 3rd base was super slow at being saturated, your 3rd gas was super fast, or like your 2nd and 3rd gases were super fast, your layer was super delayed. Like a lot of things in your build were fucked, which we went over a lot really heavily, and it's very important because this build is actually super slow. That you did this game. You don't.
Yeah, I took it. I wrote everything you said down, and I think I have a much better idea of how to shift the gearbox now.
That's good. That's awesome. And keep in mind this operator here, Bane Speed. That's like the most important thing you're going to get out of the entire game against Terran. The only time this is not important is when it's like an immediate mech build, which you'll scout with your first 4 minutes. If it's like double factory right away, and you're like, oh shit, he's going battle mech, then you don't really need this really fast. You need Roach Warren faster then. And then suddenly Goliath Reconstitution, the Roach speed upgrade, is now the most important upgrade in the game. But when it comes to Bio, this is the most important upgrade in the game. And the fact that you don't have it is so fucking bad. Like you're just opening yourself up to die. Okay, so now economically, I just want you to know that you could be way further ahead than you are. And it's going to change the entire way you play the game. Like you could have way more control. But when it comes to like engaging Widow Mines, if you ever see a Terran player have Widow Mine Bio, like you did right here, in a second, it's going to come again. Oh my god, one sec. So he's got Widow Mines, he burrowed, that's 5 Widow Mines he's burrowing in your face right there. This is not the time to just move your entire army into that. What you want to do, if a Terran player does something like this, is you either let him have this ground and don't engage it and attack somewhere else while also being able to defend it. So like leave some army here and send some other army somewhere else. That's one way you can deal with it. Or if you really want to, if you're dead set on fighting it, which is fine as well, send staggered amounts of units in. Like send like 5 Banes and 10 Lings at it. And then spread it out around it a little bit. Get the Widow Mines to go off. And then go in with your army. Do not send everything in at once, because you're... Even like 5 Banelings with Bane speed, by the way, and like 10 Zerglings would be more than enough, because there's not enough bio here to just stand there and stim it all down. Especially if it's on the side of creep. Like, there's a very good chance you could actually get Banelings connecting if he just stands there. So he is going to run away, and as he runs away, Banelings or Zerglings are going to get detonated by Widow Mines. And the only way that he can't do that is if he up-burrows the Widow Mines. But then up-burrowing the Widow Mines and Stutter Step kiting with bio is very fucking hard for Terran to do. And the odds of him getting perfect engagements there like that are low. So the point is just send in a small chunk of shit at his army and get the Widow Mines to go off and then engage it and pounce on it. Do not just send it all in at first, because the odds of him getting really good Widow Mine hits now are very high. Like that. And like this one right here. Like, you just lost like half your Banes. You lost a massive chunk of bio. You lost almost all your Banes, because they also then cleaned up the Widow Mines, which are now deactivated for a little bit, because they're on a move. You have 2 Banelings left, and yeah, that was not a cost-efficient fight for you. That looks like you won that fight, right? Where you're like, damn, I pushed him away. Hell yeah. But you actually took a fucking terrible fight there.
I didn't feel good about it. I honestly was just a little relieved I didn't lose more than I did running over my...
But you...
That's why that was my exact... I remember what I was thinking on that fight. It was
sure.
like, oh gosh, I have units left? Wow, I'm lucky.
But what I just said, though, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so that's definitely how you want to ideally approach Widow Mine fights. Because if you approach Widow Mine fights the way you...
I'll try sending a chunk of stuff to activate them first. I think I've just been... I think I've tried to engage armies off creep too much and a little too traumatized by, you know, things not even getting the mines to go off because they're dead already.
Yeah.
But if I wait till he gets on the creep, it should be better, right? So...
Yeah, and you want Lings for sure killing the Widow Mines once they go off as well, not Banelings for sure. You want the Banelings on move command towards the bio with like some more Lings to support them, while you have another group of Lings just like chilling here on a move on the Widow Mines with the Overseer. Ideally. Because if Banelings are just blowing up all the Widow Mines and keep like aggroing them, and they're like staying back away from the bio, if he was actually a smart Terran, he could have tucked his bio into the mineral patches here and just like kited you back to the mineral lines and watched your Banelings get stuck on his Widow Mines, and all your Lings by themselves run up, and he could have stood in between mineral patches and just stimmed you down for as long as he could have until your Banelings arrived. And then if he's fucking Maru, he could have focus fired your Banes as they arrive and probably killed your entire army.
Yeah.
So you're opening yourself up to getting taken advantage of, essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
I also need to stop using F2, which I know how to fix. I just gotta find the discipline to do it.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Yeah, like right now you should definitely be scouting. Like right now you have no idea how many bases he's on. You know he's going Widow Mine bio at this point, bio mine medevac, but you have no idea how many bases he's using. I would assume he's on 4 bases right now, if I had to guess, but with how passive he's being, but like in the time of the game. But you have no idea. You need to scout more. You definitely need... Your scouting this game is non-existent. You scouted for the first, like, 2 minutes, and then you stopped altogether. Yeah, same thing again.
I hope that part gets better when I start having enough army to deal with the different normal things that happen, because I think part of the reason why I'm not, like, interested in what he's doing is... I'm just trying to stay alive, and I'm trying to rebuild what I lost from the previous time that I didn't, trade well. And then the game just keeps going by and keep going by, and the scouting just keeps getting neglected forever.
There should only be 2 things you care about when you scout a Terran, and one of those things should be composition. Is it bio or mech? And the second thing you should care about, because that changes how you don't want to be going Massling Bane against fucking mech. It's not the most ideal thing you're going to be going for. You probably want some more roaches in there, something like that, to start. Because if he's got like 13 Blue Flame Hellions and he just kites your Lings out, you're just going to be like, well, that sucked. Another one, so like composition's important. And another one that's important is that you want to be looking at how aggressive is he going to be based on how many command centers does he have. And this tells you how many drones you can make and how early you can make them. Because if you're not scouting and you're just making drones in the early game, you're literally rolling the dice hoping you don't die. Because you should be making units before he gets to your base if he's all in. And you should be making drones before he attacks you if he's macro. You shouldn't be doing it like making drones after he attacks you if he's macro. And you shouldn't be making units after he attacks you if he's all in. If that makes sense. Like you need to be able to predict what he's going to do based on his command center count. That's why Lings in the front makes sense to see the front door if there's a command center in part of the wall. And the scout with the overlord or the overseer makes sense to see if he has a third command center in the back. And then you should also be checking for like outside bases with like a Ling just checking to see what his base looks like.
Because if he's putting down like his third CC at like 6 o'clock as he's like on 46 SCVs and putting a 3 racks pushed together, he's going to attack me now, like not.
Yeah,
later,
like
right?
you definitely want to like I can't really explain every single build. And the timer you gave actually for 3 racks 3 CC is actually economic. That's not all in. Like almost 5 minutes with taking a third CC then is actually that's very mineral heavy for Terran. Like if a Terran takes a third base at like 7 minutes or 6 minutes, that's fucking all in as shit. But if a Terran player takes the third base at like 4:30, that's super economical. That's like 3 production buildings and that's it. Usually that's like really fast. So if he does attack you, it's not going to be very powerful. It would be very easy to kill it with Ling Queen and maybe some Bane. But the point is like getting 3 base saturation is pretty consistent no matter what you're doing, unless he's doing a 1 base all in. But getting your 4th base saturation, that's the gamble. That is, can I do this or am I going to die? And you need to figure out, is there a fucking 3rd base? Or if I make these 20 fucking drones here, am I going to be doing it right as he pushes me with tanks and bio? And am I just going to die? Because that could have been 40 fucking Lings in the fight.
Makes sense. I get it. Okay, so. Yeah, the Terran's intentions before I drone my 4th.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, because everything I said, that's why, if you remember what I said a minute ago, where I was like, those Ling waves, you have 4 Lings for the Reaper, 8 to 12 more for the Hellion phase where Ling speed's done, and then you make 16 more when you're 3 base saturated. If you remember, I did say, right after that, you keep making more Lings if he's all in, after that point, or you go right back to droning if he's macro. That's why you need to know what the fuck he's doing by that point. You have to know. You have to have spotted a 3rd CC by that point, because if there is no 3rd CC, it's a gamble then. And another way to see it is if there is no 3rd CC, but if there is a bunch of production buildings, if there's like 5 racks by that point, make fucking Lings. You're about to get hit by massive timing. Yeah, if it's like 5 racks, factory starport, and he's only on 2 bases, that's fucking committed.
That's an all-in for sure. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, this game, I definitely think you're being very impatient with the Widow Mines. You keep running at clumps of them, and you're losing large chunks of Ling Bane. It's the whole like cautiously engaging with like staggered amounts of Ling Bane is definitely important. Also, another tip, a huge tip, just nothing particularly about this game right now, but it's a ZvT tip in general when you go Ling Bane. Every single time you're going to take a fight, always make more Banes right as you're about to take the fight. Always do that. Never, ever, ever take a fight and then not have more Banes being made behind it. Because there is going to be so many fights if you do this technique where you will get pushed back during the fight. Like you might do a lot of damage, maybe, but then you'll get pushed back and you'll be able to fall back on more Banes right as he pushes forward. You have more Banes coming at him again. Always do that.
Second round of Banes before taking engagement. Okay.
Yeah, that's
that
very
makes
important.
sense. That happens to me a lot. Yeah, because if I lose a fight and then now I'm making Banes again and they get on top of.
Yeah, then they'll just run you over and kill you. Like every pro gamer plays like this. Like everybody will play like this. That is good at Zerg. They will always make fallback Banes as they take a fight. That way, if the fight does not go overwhelmingly advantageous for them, it's like another round of Banes is ready to go for the next fight, and then they make more Banes, and then another round of Banes. It's like a fucking conga line of Banelings with every Terran fight you have. Because if you ever take a fight with Terran and you have no Banes, the efficiency of Terran bio is like 10 times over as to what it is if there are Banes there. Like bio is stupid as fuck to fight against if you have no Banes. It's so bad. Yeah. Then if you ever lose,
So bad.
no, it's okay. If you ever lose drones like that, I mean, that sucked, right? But remake. Try to fix your drones. Every time you feel like you have a little bit of a win, and you're like, oh, I just want to fight. Fucking fix those drones immediately.
Yeah.
Because you have so many minerals right now, you easily have enough minerals to expend what you're looking for here. But your bank now is huge, and your income is weak, and it's gonna get lopsided in a second here. In about like 5 minutes, I feel like you're gonna have no money at all, because you're not gonna fix your economy, and you're not gonna have a bank. Your bank is gonna now it's just suddenly like your bank is gonna get depleted with no continuous income, which is gonna kill you.
That's all the minerals you're getting out of that cluster.
And then counterattacks are also really important against Terran. Like, again, that comes from scouting, though. You have to, like, know... Like, at this point now, I would say he probably has that base, that base, that base, that base, and I guarantee he probably has this base, too. He's probably on, like, 5 bases right now. So you have plenty of options to counterattack right now. Yeah, like, that fight, again, was amazing for Terran. He just drug you over Widow Mines, and you just kind of ran at it again.
You evolved yourself a pile of...
So like right there, that was good, up until the last Widow Mine there. But because there was one burrowed early, but you just killed all the Widow Mines before they burrowed first. That if you see a Terran player is not prepared, it's okay to pounce him if you can, in your mind, go, I can kill those Widow Mines before they detonate. Great, that works. But if you can't, it's not ever good to just throw everything at him all at once. Because now he's just whittling you down. And then you still have Widow Mines over there you have to get rid of.
How much harder to see them on creep?
I know. It sucks ass. Creep is awful for that.
I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just like, okay,
this is
that sounds
Mary.
good. That sounds good right now.
You're kind of dead at this point. I would say what you should be doing right now is the fact that you went Lurker is fine. The fact that he's going tanks makes it a little bit more weird for you, because if it was just Widow Mines, it'd be really easy to control Terran then. You could just like shove him with Lurker and then kill Widow Mines and shove him at the same time with Lurkers. But because he has tanks, you want to be very careful about how you move your Lings. You want your Lings to deal with tanks and maybe get shot by tanks. But you don't want your Lings to overcommit moving too fast and die to all the bio while your Lurkers are moving in, because it's a waste. You want to like shove your Lurkers in a way where you can get rid of everything, but your Lings can still support. You don't want your Lings to just suicide. And at this point now too, it probably wouldn't be the worst idea to add in Viper, but again, Viper is fucking really complicated for Diamond. Like if you're playing at this MMR right now. So Viper is like an option. It's way more technical. I would say you literally could just make only Lurkers. That would also work. But now if you're going to do shit like this, it would be a great idea to do something like, if you have, again, you need a better economy, as you need to do a fix this a long time ago, because they're having that problem we talked about, where you're running out of money, you have no income anymore, and you're just depleting bank. But if you had economy still, and you still had income, you still had bank, if you gain momentum and control with Lurker, Ling Bane on the other side of the map as well, and knock out other bases that are isolated. Because if you take Terran bases away from him right now, you could win the game. But if you just only have Lurker pushing and you're just sitting back with everything else and you can't really reinforce it, you're not going to keep momentum here, and you're going to eventually bleed out and lose it. So you would need like Lurker, Lingbane pushing this side and maybe some Hydras or some shit. And then a different army of like maybe 30 supply of Lingbane on the opposite side of like 20 Banes and like 30 Lings or some shit. Like 20, 30 supply of it over here. Like just like a solid clump of like 2 pages of Lingbane going on this side. Because if there were bases here, you could easily kill them that are undefended. And then suddenly that base dies, and this base is compromised. Now Terran's economy is shit, because he's got no base, no economy. And you could literally win the game, if that was the case. So you're not really capitalizing on the advantage right now. And then obviously you need Hydras to deal with Liberators. And now you lost all the Lurkers. Terran still has full economy, so your advantage is now gone, and now you're going to bleed out over time because Terran has too much economy. Because you never fixed your economy, and even though Terran's economy looks like yours, he has mules, So his economy is literally like he has like 90 drones right now. Like he can make that at a moment's notice. He can be like, "You'll drop," and then he's good to go.
Oh, this goes back to me not being saturated on time. Anyway, right? Like I feel like if I was getting to the economy
100%.
and the setup that you talked about most of the session.
That's why, yeah, that's 100% why we spent 90% of our lesson on the early game, and we're kind of fast forwarding now through your late game. I'm not like it took me like fucking 45 minutes to talk about the first 6 minutes of the game, and then now we're going through the last fucking 12 minutes of the game and like the next like 30 minutes after this.
That's okay, but because that's where the problem was anyway, right?
No, 100%.
I have a feeling that more things will start falling into place for me just by fixing that what you said. So
well, like everything I'm saying is still relevant right now. Like I'm giving you ideas on how to attack a Terran in the middle and late game, but you need to actually have control of the early game to have a solid mid game and a late game. If you're like on defense all game, and you're like running into Widow Mines and you're stuck on defense, and you're running into Widow Mines and you're stuck on defense, and you're running into Widow Mines and you're stuck on defense, that is not a win condition for Zerg. You need to have some counter aggression, and the only way to have that is if you have just more. You can do it in the way we talked about right at the start of this lesson, where you have like an Overlord drop. Like there's nothing here defending this. 2 supply of Overlord and 4 Banes could just go bomb. Over here, nothing. Bomb it. You could easily do that too. Super cheap. And if the Terran doesn't react to it and you wipe out an entire middle line, that could win you the game. That's super cheap and easily to invest into. But in reality, that's not always going to be the case. That's not always going to work. But with the way this Terran is playing and the way that you're playing, if you would have just had more solid macro, you could easily have been killing bases while controlling with Lurker, Hydra, Ling Bane on one side and Ling Bane counterattacks on the other side. You would have had way more shit all game. Also, the Terran would have never gotten to this point to where they have like fucking half the map.
Yeah.
And you had like 70 or like 60 supply lower than you should have at like the 8-minute mark, as opposed to what you could have had.
When I had those lurkers there pinning him and kind of creating that situation there, that's when I should have been like sending reinforcements to go kill his economy and stuff. Kind of like how you set up when you're playing Terran versus Zerg, and you set up a location and now you're like rallying to another
100%.
location. It's the same sort of concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that if you would have played this game with solid macro with like saturating your bases properly, the way we talked about in the first 6 minutes, 7 minutes of the game, when you were fighting him for the very first time right here, you would have easily ran his ass over and also ran his third base over, and the game would have been over. Because you would have had so much shit, he would not have been able to have dealt with it.
Right.
Like that's fucking.
But I had 24 lings and 8 banelings, like you said.
Well, like, cause no, he attacked you at 8 minutes. The first time he attacked you was 8 minutes.
Yeah. So I'd have way more than that.
You would have had like because you had like 110 supply at 8 minutes, and you should have had like 160, 170 maybe. You should have been almost maxed out at that point in time, if your economy looked like what we talked about. But again, like you didn't even saturate your third base until almost 5 minutes. And if you do what I'm talking about, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck?" I was not even starting to saturate my middle line at 5 minutes on my third, when now that I'm doing it the way Vibe just talked about, I have drones saturating my third base by like 320, 330. Like, again, almost 2 minutes earlier, and your layer didn't even start until 2 minutes late as well. Like, everything was late as fuck about your build this game. And then your gas was like early. Yeah, this is kind of like a Hail Mary here. You're just throwing shit into his base, but you have no way to reinforce because you have no money. And now you're just starving and you're broken. Yeah, you're dead. So, hopefully, everything we just said, I hope it makes sense. But do you have any questions about anything that we just talked about?
No, I don't. I have one real quick question. If I happen to see they're doing a 2-1-1 drop, sim drop, should I still go to 3-base saturation, or should I stop at like 50 drones and then get like a bunch of lings and then continue droning? I care?
So that's up to you with how good your queen micro is. If you're not comfortable with your queen micro and you're not comfortable with your creep spread and you don't feel like you have enough wiggle room to work with there, you can make more lings to be extra safe. But if you feel confident that your queen and ling micro together can handle that, you can literally do it with what you have.
Okay.
It's really a judgment call. I would say try both. But if you're good at microing Queen Ling together against that, you could totally make it work.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Vibe. This is very informative. And I think I have a lot more confidence now what I'm trying to do and the checkpoints I'm trying to reach and playing the matchup. And then, of course, the rest of it will just be repetitions and trying not to get outplayed and all that stuff. So
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It definitely will take practice and all that stuff. Like, I'm not going to lie, Zerg versus Terran is one of the hardest openers in all of StarCraft 2 on the Zerg side. Because you are constantly being berated by attacks and... You're having to like babysit so much of the shit on the map, and the better you do, the more you open you. It's almost like the better you do, the more opening. Why is this hard for me to say this fucking concept? The better you're doing at the opener against Terran as a Zerg player, the more you open yourself up to being attacked even harder because you're spreading yourself out more on the map as you do better.
It makes me the most mad out of all 9 matchups. I'll tell you that much right now.
It's difficult. Yeah. It's fucking annoying because, yeah, like it's so true that no other matchup really works like that. Like it's like usually like the better you do, the more control you have. The better you do against Terran, the less control you have. It feels like because you're just giving him more opportunities to attack you from more angles, and you're like, fuck. Okay, well now I have to defend half the goddamn map at fucking 5 minutes because I have to defend all my creep. I have to defend the side air spots, all my mineral lines. He's got Liberators, he's got Hellions, he's got fucking Reapers.
Plus you know my name is Bad Matter, so you know what that's like. I don't know. Well, you don't know what it's like to ladder with the name Bad Matter.
You said GG. You're a good man.
But it's like like Dunk Tank. You know where the person sits on top of the water tank and they throw balls at the trap.
Yeah.
You know that's what it feels like to ladder with the name Bad Matter. Just in case you were curious.
Nice. Good shit. Fuck yeah. I like it. I can visualize.
All right, Vibe. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your help, man.
Yeah, the pleasure's been all mine. I appreciate you doing a coaching lesson, and I wish you the best of luck with your Zerg, dude.
Yeah, I'll send you a quick message maybe a week later, let you know how it's been going.
Okay.
All right,
well,
bye.
Yeah, all right, later, man. Take it easy. Have a good night.
See ya.
All right, guys. That has been a coaching lesson with a Bad Manner. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you understand how to open against Terran a little bit more. This is like Diamond Plus stuff. Masters, whatever. It's just concepts that you need to grow into, and execution definitely increases with your skill level, but the concepts are still the same. But yeah, much love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, whatever it is, next video, and good luck in your own games, and peace, guys.